south and north, a team that is well balanced, a team that brings together diversity of experience and competence. I want a Commission that is led with determination, that is clearly focused on the issues at hand, and that provides answers. The Vice Presidents are responsible for the priorities in my political guidelines. The European Green Deal, a Europe fit for the digital age, an economy that works for people, a stronger Europe in the world, protecting our European way of life, and a new push for European democracy. These Vice Presidents will steer our work in the overarching issues. The Commissioners are the centre of my team. They will manage the expertise provided by specialised directorates general. I want this Commission to be a flexible, a modern, an agile Commission. I want to preside a college that is committed, that understands Europe, that listens to what Europeans want. This is why I expect, for example, all members of college to visit every member state in the first half of our mandate. We should not only get to know the capitals, but also visit the regions in which the people of Europe live and work. And this will be a Commission that walks the talk. Just as Europe must become fit for the digital age, so must the Commission. Therefore, college meetings will be paperless and they will be digital. And yes, our goal is to make life easier for people and business. In other words, also to reduce the administrative burden. Therefore, when we create new laws and regulations, we will apply the principle of one in, one out, and we will develop an instrument to measure this. We want to cut red tape. I want this college to be gender balanced, but I also want this college to be balanced geographically. And as you can see, the Vice Presidents come from East and West, from North and South of the European Union. We have a structure that focuses on tasks, not on hierarchies. Depending on the topics, the members of the college will work in different clusters. We need to be able to deliver on the issues that matter the most, rapidly and with determination. That is why I have given my executive vice presidents a double function. They will be both vice president and commissioner. They will coordinate our work on the topics that cut across our society and the economy. These are the overarching topics. And they will have their own policy to manage within this broader topic. I want to show how this works in practice. Frans Timmermans will be the executive vice president for the European Green Deal. I want the European Green Deal to become Europe's hallmark. At the heart of it is our commitment to becoming the world's first climate-neutral continent. It is also a long-term economic imperative, because those who act first and fast will be the ones who grasp the opportunities from the ecological transition. I want Europe to be the front runner. I want Europe to be the exporter of technologies, knowledge, best practice. Frans Timmermans will lead the work on the European Green Deal. He will also manage climate action policy, supported by DG Klima, and he will work together with the commissioners for agriculture, health, transport, energy, cohesion and reforms, and environment and oceans. Executive Vice President Margrethe Vestager will lead our work on a Europe fit for the digital age. Digitalization has a huge impact on the way we live, we work, we communicate. In some fields, Europe has to catch up, for example, in the field business to consumer, but in other fields, we're excellent. Europe is the front runner, for example, in business to business, when we talk about digital twins of products and procedures. We have to make more out of the field of artificial intelligence. We have to make our single market a digital single market. We have to use way more the big data that is out there, but we don't make enough out of it, what innovation and startups are concerned. It's not only need to know, but it's also need to share big data. We have to improve on cybersecurity. We have to work hard on our technological sovereignty, just to name a few issues in these broad topics. Margrethe Vestager will coordinate the whole agenda and be the Commissioner for Competition. She will work together with the Commissioner for Internal Market, Innovation and Youth, Transport, Energy, Jobs, Health and Justice. Executive Vice President Valdis Dombrovskis will lead our work on an economy that works for people. We have a unique social market economy. It is the source of our prosperity and social fairness. This is all the more important when we face now twin transitions, climate, digital, I was just talking about. Valdis Dombrovskis will lead our work to bring together the social and the market in our economy. And he will be the Commissioner for Financial Services. He will work together with commissioners for economy, jobs, internal market, cohesion and reforms, trade, innovation and youth. You will have time to get to know all the names of the commissioners, but let me tell you a bit more about a few of my team. Virginijus Sinkevičius. He is 28 years old, and he shows that Europe is ready to hand responsibility over to the younger generation. He will be responsible for our environment and oceans. Jutta Urpilainen. She was not only finance minister or long-standing member of the Finnish Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, but she was also a special envoy working in Ethiopia. She will take over responsibility for international partnerships, which is crucial for our neighbourhood. It's crucial that we invest heavily in our neighbourhood. We have this international partnership to create jobs in these areas. Sylvie Goulard. She's a dedicated and convinced European. She will lead our work on industrial policy, and she will promote the digital single market. She will also be responsible for the newly created Director General Defence Industry and Space. I think our investment in common procurement in Europe as Europeans will have an enormous spillover effect in the private business industry. Upholding the rule of law will remain a top priority for Europe. And this is why I have entrusted 2 experienced members of my team with this responsibility. Didier Reynders, as Commissioner for Justice, and Vera Jourova, as Vice President for Values and Transparency. I cannot go in detail through every commissioner's portfolio, although each has their own story, each has their own skills, and they're all part of our team. But there's one fundamental concern that connects this team. We want to bring new impetus to Europe's democracy. This is our joint responsibility. And democracy is more than voting in elections every 5 years. It is about having your voice heard. It's about being able to participate in the way our society is built. We have to address some of the deeper issues in our society that have led to a loss of faith in democracy. I'm thinking of people who feel left behind by progress and transitions. I'm thinking of people who feel cut off or isolated due to a lack, for example, in their regions of infrastructure like public transportations or hospitals or schools or even post offices in their villages. People who see their children leave their home cities in search of opportunities elsewhere. And if you look closely, the root issues for this anger, for this discontent, for this frustration sometimes, is one of more demographic change rather than democracy. And we should not accept this as a given. Many regions and rural areas have shown us that you can turn this around. And this is why I have put Dubravka Šuica as Vice President for Democracy and Demography. She knows how towns, cities, regions, communities tick. She was mayor of Dubrovnik, and she has been a member of a national and the European Parliament. She comes from our youngest member state, Croatia. She will lead from the Commission side the work on the conference on the future of Europe. This is the team that will serve Europe with dedication in the Commission. And you'll get in a moment printouts. In a moment you'll get printouts. This is the team that will have to gain Parliament's confidence. This is the team that will shape the European way, build our partnership with the United States of America, although we have issues, but they are our closest allies. Define our relation with a more self-assertive China. Be a reliable neighbor, for example, to Africa. Stand up for our values and world-class standards. This Commission will be a geopolitical Commission. I want the European Union, and thus the Commission, to be the guardian of multilateralism, because we know that we are stronger by doing together what we cannot do alone. And I would like to ask the staff to distribute the hard copies for those who can't read the details on the screen. I'll wait for a moment. Are we all set?
Not at the end.
Are we all set with the hard copies now? I wanted to go through the different portfolios. There's Vice President Josep Borrell, current Spanish Foreign Minister. He will be a High Representative Vice President designate in charge of a stronger Europe in the world. There is Vice President Margaritis Kinas from Greece. You know him as a former member of the European Parliament. You know him as a long-serving official in the European Commission. He calls himself a true believer in Europe. He will be the Vice President for protecting our European way of life. There's Vice President Maroš Šefčovič from Slovakia. He will be responsible for interinstitutional relations and foresight. He will strengthen our culture on evidence-based policy making. There's Commissioner Paolo Gentiloni from Italy. You all know him as former Italian Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs portfolio. There is Commissioner Johannes Hahn from Austria. As a long-serving member of the College, he knows about the importance of nurturing a modern administration. He will be in charge of budget and administration, and he will report directly to me. There's Commissioner Maria Gabriel from Bulgaria. She is a current European Commissioner. She worked with dedication on the digital portfolio, and she's now moving on to create new perspectives to the young generation with the portfolio Innovation and Youth. There's Stella Kyriakides from Cyprus. Sorry, Stella. She is a medical psychologist with many, many years of experience in the field of social affairs, health, and cancer prevention. She will lead the health portfolio. There's Kadri Simson from Estonia. She's a long-serving member of the Estonian Parliament and Minister for Economic Affairs and Infrastructure. She will be in charge of the energy portfolio. There's Laszlo Torsani. He is the former Minister of Justice of Hungary. He will lead the Neighbourhood and Enlargement portfolio. Phil Hogan from Ireland, the incumbent Commissioner for Agriculture. He is known as a hard and a fair negotiator. He will bring his experience to the new Commission in the trade portfolio. Nicolas Schmidt from Luxembourg is bringing his experience from the European Parliament and his service as National Minister for Employment and Labour, and he will now be responsible for the jobs portfolio. Helena Dahle from Malta has dedicated her political life to equality. She has been serving as Minister for Social Dialogue, Consumer Affairs and Civil Liberties, and for European Affairs and Equality. She will lead the equality portfolio. Janusz Wojciechowski, Poland, was a long-serving member of the European Parliament in the Agriculture Committee and is currently a member of the European Court of Auditors. He will be in charge of the portfolio agriculture. Elisa Ferreira from Portugal is currently Vice Governor of the Banco de Portugal. She has been a member of the European Parliament for many, many years, and she was the Portuguese Minister for Planning and Minister for Environment. She will lead the Cohesion and Reforms portfolio. Rovana Plumb from Romania is a member of the European Parliament. and is a former national minister of Environment and Climate Change, Labour and European funds. She will be in charge of the transport portfolio. Janez Lenarčič from Slovenia is a Slovenian diplomat. He was Secretary of State for European Affairs and worked closely for several years with the United Nations and the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe. He will be in charge of the crisis management portfolio. Ylva Johansson from Sweden. She has been a minister, national minister for employment, but also former minister for schools and for health and elderly care, and she has been a member of the Swedish Parliament. She is also highly respected as expert in the fields of employment, integration, health and welfare. She's hands-on. If you want something to be done, ask her. She will lead the Home Affairs portfolio. This is the team, as diverse as Europe is, as strong as Europe is. Those are dedicated men and women, and I'm looking forward to working with this team for Europe. Thank you so much.
Start with the first question. Jurek, please.
Jurek Kuczkiewicz from the newspaper Le Soir. Je suis ici, Madame la Présidente. Ici, voilà. I'm here. Madame la Présidente, quel est le message politique que vous envoyez à certains pays en désignant Madame Jourova, dont le Premier ministre de son parti fait l'objet d'une plainte, d'une enquête de l'OLAF, et donc qui pose des questions en état de droit. Ma question ne porte pas sur l'honnêteté et la probité de Madame Jourova elle-même et ses compétences, mais quel est le message politique que vous envoyez, notamment aux pays qui ont des problèmes à l'état de droit en la désignant à ce poste? Et si je puis me permettre, est-ce que vous pourriez en expliquer un tout petit peu plus en quoi consiste le portefeuille le European Way of Life et quelle est la direction générale qui dépendra de Margaritis Schinas? Merci.
Yeah. Thank you for explicitly saying that there is no doubt at all about the competence and the independence of Vera Jourova. And I think it is important that with the topic of rule of law, we show it matters to all of us in Europe. Therefore, we have Didier Reynders as a foreign minister who was one of the first who developed the initiative to have a screening and monitoring throughout the whole of Europe about any member state, what the topic of rule of law is concerned. And of course, it is a topic that is not showing in any kind of geographical direction of the European Union, but we have a representative from the western part, we have a representative from the central and eastern European part. Both of them will work closely together in a very independent way, and I want to make sure whoever is here as a candidate is first and foremost a European of the European Commission. Margaritis Schinas will, as the political guideline shows in my guidelines I've laid out to the Parliament, he will be responsible for the topic migration, but also for the topic skilled labour, skilled migration, and he'll be responsible for the topic of protection. It is the whole chain that he will work on, cross-cutting through the different portfolios commissioners do have. When we talk about successful managing migration and having a sustainable concept for migration, it starts in the countries of origin, where we do have to invest heavily so that there is a perspective for jobs and a future for people. Incomes at that point, Jutta Urpilainen with international partnerships. We're talking about fighting hard against trafficking and smuggling. This is organized crime, and we have to fight it hard. We have to deal with effective, humane, but functioning external borders in order to have free movement in the Schengen area. And we have to be clear about what is asylum, who is eligible for asylum, and what are we doing with those the migrants who are coming irregularly, who are not eligible for asylum. And we will have to develop this whole chain of action on the topic of migration. Of course, we know that those who are irregular migrants will have to go back to their countries of origin. But it has to be a noble task of the European Union to be willing to take on refugees who need protection to the European Union, but in a way that is orderly and that is regular. And this whole topic is also combined with the question of skilled labor, because you know that being a continent that needs skilled labor, there are a lot of tasks to tackle at home within the European Union, but we also have to organize a correct way to have skilled migration to Europe, and this whole package will be in the portfolio of Vice President Margaritis Skinas.
We work our way through. We've got plenty of time. Please, the colleague with the white jacket, the woman over here, please. Yeah.
Thomas Friedrich für VDI-Nachrichten und Top Agrar. Okay.
Franziska Bruch, Katholische Nachrichtenagentur. Ich habe eine Frage. Sie haben vorgestellt, Frau von der Leyen, dass es eine Kommissarin für internationale Partnerschaften gibt. Es gab ja auch immer wieder die Pläne, einen Afrika-Kommissar zu haben. Vielleicht können Sie noch mal erklären, warum Sie sich dagegen entschieden haben.
Gerne. Ich kenne die Vorschläge eines Kommissars für Afrika und habe dieses Thema besprochen mit Repräsentanten der Afrikanischen Union, aber auch Präsidenten bzw. Premierministern. Und interessanterweise wurde das eher als diskriminierend angesehen. Es kam sofort das Argument, Moment, wo ist dann der Kommissar für Lateinamerika, wo ist der Kommissar für Asien, wo ist der Kommissar für den Nahen und Mittleren Osten? Ich habe das respektiert. Und deshalb ist Jutta Urpilainen diejenige, die mit Kraft das große Portfolio der wirtschaftlichen Zusammenarbeit in unseren Nachbarschaften managen wird.
Okay, I got another question. Yeah, you, there is a blue jacket, please. Just this area. We've got plenty of time. We work us through.
Yeah, me or not? Giovanni Del Re für die italienische Tageszeitung Avvenire von Mailand. Frau Präsidentin, es gab Kritik, dass ausgerechnet das Land mit einer riesigen Verschuldung und immer wieder Probleme mit dem Budget den Wirtschaftskommissar stellt. Was sagen Sie zu diesen Kritikern und wie kommentieren Sie die ganze Problematik?
Das ist ein wichtiges Thema und ich habe es ausführlich auch diskutiert mit Paolo Gentiloni und Premierminister Conte. Entscheidend ist, Paolo Gentiloni als sehr erfahrener ehemaliger Premierminister weiß genau, welche schwierigen Fragen auf uns und damit auch auf ihn zukommen. Auch hier zeigt sich, wir sind in allererster Linie Europäer, hier in der Europäischen Kommission. Und für uns ist entscheidend gewesen, dass wir eine kluge Kombination einer gut ausbalancierten Verteilung der Ansichten und der Schwerpunkte haben. Wir wissen, dass Valdis Dombrovskis als Executive Vice President zusammenarbeiten wird, eng mit Paolo Gentiloni, dem Economy-Kommissar. Wir wissen aber auch, dass in Italien jetzt der Finanzminister Roberto Gualtieri aus dem Europäischen Parlament kommt, mit einer großen Erfahrung, auch über den Stabilitäts- und Wachstumspakt, sehr genau weiß, was unsere gemeinsam verabredeten Regeln innerhalb Europas sind. Regeln, die wir verabredet haben, weil es uns stärkt, weil es Europa voranbringt und weil wir wissen, dass, wenn wir sie einhalten, es uns allen gemeinsam besser geht. Und Roberto Gualtieri weiß auch genau, was die europäische Ebene nicht nur verabredet hat, sondern auch erwartet. Und in dieser Kombination werden wir meines Erachtens eine gute Balance finden, dass wir diese schwierigen Themen voranbringen, aber innerhalb des Rahmens, den wir gemeinsam in Europa verabredet haben.
We go over here, please. One question here at the corner, please. Yep.
Madam President-elect, is your decision to appoint the Irish Commissioner to the trade portfolio a message to the United Kingdom of what to expect were they to be trying to negotiate a free trade agreement after a no-deal Brexit?
I know Phil Hogan as an excellent, very fair negotiator. And he has handled the agriculture portfolio in a brilliant way. And this is what I expect of him as a trade commissioner. He will be a very fair but determined negotiator. And what our friends from the United Kingdom are concerned, I think it is very important to have together a very good free trade agreement so that, because I think it will be determining the good relations we want to have in the future. We are still in a difficult process, but I keep saying that the Brexit we never wanted, but we respect decisions that are taken by our British friends, by the United Kingdom. The Brexit, should it happen, is not the end of something, but it's the beginning of our future relationship. And I want this relationship, as it has been in the past, in the future, to be a good relationship. And therefore, I think the Trade Commissioner, Phil Hogan, who will have to deal with all the different trade agreements we are negotiating, is an excellent choice.
I beg your pardon, as I don't know all your names, I try to find for myself a kind of geographical balance here, and we continue here, up here. Yep, you please. We take 2 questions here, and then we go around in circles, and we've got plenty of time.
Morning, Jorge Valero with Euractiv. Coming back to the Gentiloni question, is just to confirm, given that Dombrovskis will be executive vice president, he will be in charge of the DG, I assume, so he will be the last word when deciding, for example, in the case of the Italian dossier. And second question, we were told by President Sanchez that Borrell will be in charge of Africa and also humanitarian aid, among other issues. So I wanted to confirm whether that's true. We were told that during the last summit in July. So I wanted to confirm whether Borrell will be in charge of Africa, irregular migration, and also humanitarian aid.
Yeah. First of all, what HRVP Borrell is concerned, of course, he will be the vice president dealing with the Commissioner for International Partnerships, dealing with the Commissioner for Enlargement and Neighbourhood, dealing with the Commissioner for Crisis Management, which was and is humanitarian aid too. And, of course, he has a huge task to tackle what our neighbourhood is concerned, as it is with each High Representative. So we'll have an important role to play in our neighbourhood in Africa, for example. Your first point was on Dombrovskis and Paolo Gentiloni. Any final decision is being taken by the college. So these are decisions we take together and we explain together. and we defend and argue together about why they have been taken the way they are taken.
Yes, please. You. Behind the camera. Yep. Almost, but okay.
Thank you.
Take yours, please.
I'm from Budapest, Hungarian News Television, and my question would be, Madam President, could you please explain or enlighten the background of picking Vera Jourova as Vice President, who is responsible for a rule of law as well? Can it be considered as a conciliatory message to the Central Eastern European countries? Thank you very much.
I have answered exactly the same question a few minutes ago. There is obviously consensus also in this room that Vera Jourova, very independent, did an excellent job as Commissioner for Justice in the outgoing Commission. And we have the same combination as it was on the rule of law. In the outgoing Commission, we had a Vice President responsible and the Commissioner for Justice. In the incoming Commission, we will have a Vice President and the Commissioner for Justice, Didier Reynders, together with Vera Jourova. And as there is no doubt at all about the independence of both, I do not see any problem. On the contrary, I think it is important to bring that topic forward in a way that will be that the Commissioner and the Vice President will be able to explain it to the people of Europe.
The colleague from AFP, there up there, please.
Bonjour, Christian Spielmann de l'agence France Presse. Madame, votre équipe compte plusieurs commissaires. Je suis là. Plusieurs commissaires qui sont discutables, dont 2 au moins sont sujets à une enquête de l'OLAF, l'organisme pour la lutte antifraude dans l'Union européenne. Je voudrais savoir pourquoi vous ne les avez pas récusés, pour éviter de donner à votre commission qui est à peine née cette espèce d'image un peu tachée de gens qui sont soupçonnés de fraude, même s'il y a la présomption d'innocence. La commission Santerre est tombée à cause de Madame Édith Cresson. Monsieur Barroso a été obligé de se séparer du Maltais Dahle. Est-ce que vous risquez pas effectivement d'un jour ou l'autre être dans la même situation? Est-ce que ce n'est pas un problème? Est-ce que ce n'est pas justement votre incapacité à dire non aux États membres qui pose un problème sur votre indépendance? Merci, excusez-moi d'être un peu rude.
Ça, c'est absolument en ordre. Comme vous l'avez dit, Olaf est indépendant et ça, c'est bien comme ça. Et il y a toujours la présomption d'innocence, comme vous l'avez dit également. Et finalement, la liste proposée, le collège proposé, était accepté par le Conseil, ce qui est toujours nécessaire. Je crois que nous avons une liste excellente d'hommes et femmes. Et je ne veux pas commenter le travail, les investigations de Olaf parce qu'ils sont complètement indépendants, mais ils vont finir leur travail et on va leur écouter.
On the right-hand side, there was a question. Yeah, please up there. Yep. You with the red. Yep.
Dominika Ciasic from Polish Public Television. I would like to ask Madam President about Polish candidate Janusz Wojciechowski and agriculture. What he will be responsible exactly on? What he will be his duties in your commission? Thank you very much.
Well, it is the whole and huge portfolio of agriculture and rural development. And I will not be able now in this press conference to elaborate on this huge topic. It is exactly the same portfolio as we have it right now in the outgoing Commission. It's an important one. And the details will be discussed with the commissioners. Actually, they have their mission letters right now, where there's very much detailed out what their duties, tasks, and the expectations are.
Please, you're waiting for a long time.
President-elect, as a former Orban's justice minister, here I am. Does Mr. Toscani have enough credible experience to promote and insist on rule of law in Western Balkans, as this is going to be his ultimate goal as future enlargement commissioner. And also, I've seen that you have upgraded the position. Previous position was enlargement negotiations, now it's only enlargement and neighbourhood. Is this a positive signal that something concerning enlargement indeed significantly will happen during your mandate?
The portfolio is exactly the same. What you will have noticed that as the names of the portfolios got longer and longer over time, we reviewed, for example, the portfolio jobs or the portfolio internal market. Internal market has entrepreneurship, industry policy, internal market, defense industry, space. So we reduced it to internal market, and same goes for neighbourhood and enlargement. The portfolio substance is absolutely the same.
Just a colleague in front of you, please. Yeah.
Robert Hodgson for Ends Europe. I just wanted to ask, the executive vice presidential positions have very long titles which might not necessarily tell the public immediately what the job of the person involved is. So do you think this is the way to make people feel closer to the Commission? Second one is, there's no individual commissioner for climate, and given you've given the environment portfolio to a younger commissioner, do you not think, given the level of support amongst the youth of Europe for climate action, it might have been a nice gesture to name a younger commissioner in a climate role?
The public of Europe and the youth of Europe will only be convinced if we deliver. And therefore we have clear goals and we have a clear plan, which is the European Green Deal. What the titles are concerned, I think they are very much more understandable than sometimes titles used to be to the public. They are exactly the guidelines taken from my political guidelines I laid out to the Parliament a few weeks ago. Virginius is an excellent, young, dedicated, determined politician who has already a name in that field and that area. And I'm absolutely convinced that he will be insisting to see us on delivering on that subject of the European Green Deal. And he will have a strong vice president, that is Franz Timmermans. So together I'm convinced that we will have to show a lot of result, but as I said, we will only convince youth when we deliver.
No, just try to, yeah. Please, no, at your left side. Just for the woman with the blue jacket, please.
Yes.
Okay.
Catherine Fiore, EU reporter. Can I ask you, you met with President Juncker yesterday for a working lunch, and in the past he's argued that there should be maybe a smaller college, fewer commissioners. Would you support that, given your experience over recent weeks? And if I could ask another question, if I may. You've said in your initial presentation to the Parliament that you would be open to the idea of an extension for the UK. As we know, the UK is legally obliged to seek that extension should a deal not be arrived at the next Council. Obviously, you come into post on the 1st of November. Is this something that you discussed with President Juncker? And what is he minded to do should that request be received?
I cannot talk for President Juncker here, but we are on a regular basis. We are meeting and having lunch together so that we do have a smooth transition. It is right, I'm going to be in office on the 1st of November, but the next steps are completely in the hands and the decision of the United Kingdom. So I will not comment on their decisions and the next steps they might take. So we'll see how things will proceed. President Juncker I have been discussing the college, and I learn a lot from these meetings because he tells me a lot about what he has done and what was a good decision and what was a mistake perhaps I should avoid. So it's wonderful to learn a lot from him. What the size of the college is concerned, each member state is sending a candidate. So this reflects Europe as it is, the European Union at the moment being. So it's wonderful to have this diversity, and the size is completely reflecting the size of the European Union at the moment being.
Take a question up there. Please, could you give someone the mic here?
Dusan Gajic, Radio Television of Serbia. If I can echo a question asked by my colleague about reasons that led you to propose a commissioner from Hungary to take the enlargement portfolio. So what was the reasoning behind, especially knowing that there are many critics pointing out that the issues of rule of law in Hungary, while that same issue is the key aspect of the enlargement process for the Balkan countries. Thank you.
In general, that Hungary is a country that has a clear objective, as I do have, that the Western Balkans are very important for us. And I want them as close as possible to the European Union. I want very good relation, intensive work and cooperation with them. This will be one of my main focus in this presidency. So this is a very important topic, and I think that Hungary is a country that will work exactly in that sense.
We've got one more question here in front on this side. Yeah, please. Could please someone give one of these colleagues or someone a mic, please? Do you have a mic? Yep.
Yes, Angela Mauro, Huffington Post, Italy. There is a discussion on the Italian side of reviewing the Growth and Stability Pact. What would be the approach by the new Commission towards this issue? Thank you.
We have a Growth and Stability Pact that has been developed out of the experience of the economic crisis and in a broad consensus, finally, that we want a strong European Union, a strong economy, a strong Europe. And therefore, the rules are clear, the limits are clear, the flexibility is clear. So within these rules, we will tackle the different options and issues we have to discuss. The combination of Paolo Gentiloni, Roberto Gualtieri, Valdis Dombrovskis, we've just been talking about a few minutes ago. So we'll see what the next steps are. We expect the budget drafts, and then we'll see the next steps.
You had the question, please. The next question here. The gentleman in the second. So.
Bonjour, Enrique Cerveto, ici. Enrique Cerveto du quotidien espagnol l'ABC. Je voudrais poser une question en nommant un commissaire pour l'ampliation. Ça veut dire clairement que vous envisagez d'attirer d'autres pays dans l'Union européenne. Donc, quels sont les pays auxquels vous pensez qui vont avancer dans la prochaine législature? Et que pensez-vous plus concrètement sur la candidature de la Turquie?
Oui. Tout d'abord, ça dépend du pays, comment ils avancent vers l'Europe. C'est-à-dire les valeurs et les règles de l'Europe vont jamais changer. Ce sont les valeurs fondateurs. Et ce sont les pays, s'ils veulent joindre, qui doivent montrer et travailler sur le fait d'avoir les mêmes règles, les mêmes conditions, la capacité d'être part de l'Union européenne. Alors, pour ça, il n'y a pas The ranking que je vous peux proposer maintenant, parce que ça dépend énormément des pays du Western Balkan. En ce qui concerne la Turquie, je n'ai pas vu ce progrès pendant les dernières années. Au contraire. Et c'est pour ça que ma phrase va bien, que c'est eux qui doivent montrer qu'ils veulent venir plus proches aux valeurs européennes, aux règles européennes, le droit de la loi, la liberté, nous connaissons tous ces valeurs fondamentaux. Et ça, je n'ai pas vu pendant les dernières années.
The next question to the last row here up front. Please.
Rita Cisa from the Portuguese daily Público. Just wondering if you could give us a brief overview of Commissioner Elisa Ferreira's new portfolio. Is it an enhanced regional policy portfolio, perhaps with some Plan Juncker mixed with it so that you can mitigate the problems to structural funds? Thank you.
It's the portfolio of cohesion funds with structural reforms plus the new Just Transition Fund. The new Just Transition Fund is part of the European Green Deal. We are aware that we have to progress rapidly in developed technologies, green financing, but we are also aware that this will mean a lot of change in some regions. For example, heavily coal-dependent regions will have to change their business sector. Therefore, an enormous transition will be there also for people. And to invest directly in that field. Therefore, we will have the Just Transition Fund. So it's specifically for the European Green Deal, the transition we have to go through. But therefore, it's good in combination with one commissioner who's also responsible for the structural reforms and the cohesion funds.
Yeah, please, here, corner.
Sam Fleming from the Financial Times. I wanted to ask about Commissioner Vestager's new portfolio, in particular the logic behind giving her the competition portfolio, that continued portfolio. Obviously, this will be a controversial decision, particularly in the Trump administration, which has attacked her in the past. You stressed your desire to work closely with America. What thoughts have you had about that particular aspect of the Vice President, the Executive Vice President's new portfolio? Thank you.
Only aspect that matters, assigning portfolios, is quality and excellence. And Margarete Vestager has done an outstanding job as a commissioner for competition. So, and competition and the issues she's tackling there are closely linked to the digital sector too. So having her as an executive vice president for the digital in Europe is absolutely a perfect combination. She'll have this topic as a cross-cutting topic. She'll have to work on the digital single market. She will work on the fact that we want to use in a better way big data that is out there that we collect every day, non-personalized data that we should use way better in the need, for example, to share with others for innovation, for startups, for new ideas. She will work on the whole topic of cybersecurity, which is the more we're digitalized, the more we're vulnerable. So there's a huge field in front of her, and as she's shown excellence in the Commission portfolio, she'll keep that. The executive vice presidents have with the DGs kind of muscles to deal with their vast portfolios or subject they have to deal with.
Stay here in the front, please. Yep. Got the mic.
Bernd Rieger, Deutsche Welle in German, if I may. Frau Präsidentin, hatten Sie das Gefühl, als Sie die Kommission gebaut haben, ich habe zu viele Kommissarinnen und Kommissare und zu wenige sinnvolle Portfolios? Und ein kleiner Zusatz, Wenn die Briten drinbleiben, bestehen Sie dann darauf, dass die Briten auch einen Kommissar oder eine Kommissarin schicken?
Das Gefühl war eher umgekehrt. Wir haben so viele Themen, auch Themenfülle, die auf der europäischen Ebene zunimmt. Vor allen Dingen, weil wir eine stärker geopolitische Kommission sein wollen. Und all die Themen, die heute angesprochen worden sind, zeigen ja schon die Dichte, die Portfolios haben und die Größe der Themen, die dahinter stehen. Insofern ist es mir eher schwer gefallen, alles zu konzentrieren auf die Zahl der Kommissarinnen und Kommissare, die da sind. Und ich glaube, es zeigt eben auch die Größe inzwischen der Europäischen Union in ihrem Einfluss mit 500 Millionen Menschen weltweit, die dieses Europa auch wahrnehmen muss. Es ist ein Europa, das ein internationaler Spieler, ein Player sein muss, der sichtbar sein muss in den Fragen, wie gehen wir um? Die Frage kam öfter mit unseren Freunden, den Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika. Aber wie positionieren wir uns gegenüber einem selbstbewussten China? Was ist unsere Rolle im Nahen und Mittleren Osten? Wie gelingt es uns, genügend Investitionskraft, öffentlich und privat, auch zu akquirieren und zu investieren in unserer Nachbarschaft, zum Beispiel in Afrika, um dort auch mehr Perspektiven zu schaffen? Sie sehen an wenigen Worten, das ganze Thema European Green Deal ist ein Riesenthema. Es wird uns unsere Gesellschaft prägen in den nächsten Jahren und Jahrzehnten. Und das Gleiche gilt für das große Thema der Digitalisierung, also ein breites Portfolio. Ihre Frage zu den britischen Kommissar oder Kommissarin. Bis zum 1. Juli werden wir sehen, was passiert. Sollte das. Bitte schön? Was habe ich gesagt? Also, bis zum 1. November werden wir sehen, was geschieht. Sollte das Vereinigte Königreich um Verlängerung bitten und sollte diese gewährt werden, so muss nach den Regeln des Vertrages ein Kommissar oder eine Kommissarin benannt werden und dann wird es auch ein Portfolio geben.
Now we take two questions there on the right-hand side and then we move to the center as there are plenty of questions in the center. So please just wait, we've got time.
Tom Weingartner, Power News. Hier vorne bitte. Ich hätte zwei Fragen bitte. Einmal, ich habe noch nicht ganz verstanden, wie diese Abgrenzung zwischen Energie und Klima jetzt vorgenommen wird. Es ist ja auseinandergenommen worden, das Ressort. Wer vertritt denn jetzt zum Beispiel die EU auf diesen internationalen Konferenzen da wo immer die stattfinden? Und die zweite Frage ist eine Nachfrage zu dem, was Sie da zur Erweiterung gesagt haben. Bis jetzt galt ja auch der Grundsatz, dass die EU aufnahmebereit sein muss. Haben Sie es einfach vergessen oder betrachten Sie die EU als aufnahmebereit für alles, was da kommen kann?
Also was das Thema Energie und Klima angeht, die DG Klima ist mit dem Vizepräsidenten Frans Timmermans und unter diesem großen Thema European Green Deal ist selbstverständlich die Kommissarin Kadri Simpson mit Energie dabei. Sie gehört zum Cluster, das ich vorhin gezeigt habe, mit Frans Timmermans als Vizepräsident, der die DG Klima dazu hat. Also eine enge Zusammenarbeit ist von vornherein gegeben. Selbstverständlich ist es so bei dem Thema Erweiterung, die Frage ging vorhin, in welcher Reihenfolge gegebenenfalls Erweiterungen stattfinden können. Und ich glaube, es ist das Allerwichtigste, dass wir klar machen, nicht die Europäische Union ändert sich, sondern es sind die Länder, die gerne beitreten möchten, die zeigen müssen und die wir zum Teil auch unterstützen in der Entwicklung in die Richtung der Grundsätze, der Werte, aber auch natürlich der rechtlichen und der ökonomischen und sozialen Bedingungen, die ein Beitritt zur Europäischen Union erfordert. Und dann gibt es klare Schritte mit Eröffnung von Kapiteln, mit Schließen von Kapiteln, mit Entscheidungen, die immer wieder auch gemeinschaftlich genommen werden müssen. Ich glaube, die Schönheit der Europäischen Union zeigt sich auch darin, dass ebenso viele Länder in den vergangenen 60, 70 Jahren alles getan haben, um sich in die Lage zu versetzen, der Europäischen Union beizutreten. Und ganz viele Kommissarinnen und Kommissare, Vizepräsidentinnen und Vizepräsidenten stammen aus Ländern, die gezeigt haben, was es für sie bedeutet hat, der Europäischen Union beizutreten und wie viel wir gemeinsam dadurch gewonnen haben. Die Beitrittsländer, die Länder, die schon in der Europäischen Union waren und der europäische Gedanke insgesamt. Und das ist genau die Schönheit und die Einzigartigkeit, die nur die Europäische Union so hat.
The upper level, please, on the right-hand side. Yeah. Yep.
Hello. Hello.
Oh,
Estonian Public Broadcasting, Eppe Hunt. One question concerns energy topic, because one of the main issues of this commission is tackling climate change, and one of the key portfolios is energy. Could you describe a bit your expectations towards portfolio of Kadri Simson? And second question, you mentioned that bureaucracy in the European Commission will be paper-free. How could you imagine it will happen from the first day of your office?
Day of this college, the college meetings will be paperless. So beginning in November, the college meetings will be paperless and only digital. This is the start. And I've known this administration as being very digital already. So what I was talking about are the college meetings. But of course, we can get way better in the overall performance as not only the European Commission's administration, but the whole of Europe. What the energy portfolio is concerned, it's a huge portfolio, and I can only roughly go through a few buzzwords. Otherwise, this will take way too much time at the moment being. Of course, energy has to be reliable. We need diversity. Well, it has to be diversified, the supply of energy. It has to be affordable. And it has to be resource or climate friendly and renewable. And this is not a ranking I just put in place. So there you have already the outline of where you have to move forward within a portfolio. It's a very important portfolio. There's an enormous amount to do, and I'm sure Kadri Simson will do a perfect job.
Take a second question from this side, then we move to the center, please.
Madam President-elect, competition is now a part of the digital portfolio. Does that mean that competition should be further politicized in its decisions, so as to create European digital champions? Is that the idea? And also, where will be the oversight of all the mergers that are not digital? Will that also be part of Mrs. Vestager's portfolio, or will that be part of industrial strategy, industrial policy, something else maybe? Also, can you tell us whether there will be
pen to write it down? Yeah, danke schön. So, competition as portfolio stays as it is. So, and there are a lot of digital topics in it, but this does not mean that every topic is digital. Every potential merger or every task in it is concerning digitalization. But it has to do a lot with digitalization. So the portfolio stays as it is. And I cannot follow your assumption that the digitalization of the European Union is politicizing a topic. It's a must. It's of utmost importance for a European Union. If we want to be successful, what the society is concerned, but also what our economy is concerned, we have to urgently catch up in digitalization. I said there are some fields where we're good at, but this is certainly not the vast majority. So it's an enormous, important topic that cuts across all different layers of society and the business sector and all our work here in the European Union and in the college. Therefore, her cluster is huge too, and there's an enormous amount of work to do.
Yeah, the colleague in the front row who's waiting for such a long time.
Mrs. von der Leyen, Jeremy Fleming from PAR. Just on the same topic, on competition and this digital cluster. Are you anticipating that there will be concerns about conflicts of interest crossing across that cluster, and will there be safeguards to ensure that competition is somehow preserved in its ring-fenced state?
Yes, as I said, the DG stays as it is. The Directorate General stays as it is. So with the same strength and assertiveness and importance it had. So the Commissioner, Margareta Vestager, this term has done an outstanding job, but I'm sure she will even do better by being also a Vice President for the digitalization of the European Union.
Please.
Thomas Friedrich, zweiter Anlauf. Sie haben die Antwort zu Olaf-Fällen bereits gegeben. That's the reason why I would to switch as a member of the International Press Association to a question which is everybody here keen to know. First of all, we would like to know about your structure. Will in the future, under your mandate, every commissioner will have his own spokesperson? Under the Juncker Commission, they mitigated the three portfolios for one people. This is one crucial question. And second would be, who will be your chief spokeswoman in the future from 1st of November, which we would like to know as well. Thank you.
I accept totally. These are very important questions for the room here. I think till the end of the week, we're going to be set with the question who's going to be spokesperson. So you'll get the answer in an orderly manner, but not at the moment being.
Just some question in the middle. You get the mic to the lady over there.
Who will be of culture and audiovisual policy? Thank you.
This is the portfolio of innovation and youth.
Okay, we stay in the middle. Frau Gellinek.
Anne Gellinek, ZDF in Brüssel. Frau von der Leyen, Sie haben das Land zum Agrarkommissar gemacht, das die meisten Subventionen bekommt. Aber wie wir alle wissen, muss ja der Haushalt, der neue EU-Haushalt erheblich sparen. Haben Sie da den Bock zum Gärtner gemacht? Frage 1. Und zweite Frage, was bedeutet die Ernennung einer Energiekommissarin aus dem Baltikum für den Bau von Nord Stream?
Grundsätzlich ist mir sehr, sehr wichtig, dass wir hier festhalten, und das ist auch eine Grundbotschaft an alle Kommissarinnen und Kommissare, Vizepräsidentinnen und Vizepräsidenten. Sie sind jetzt Europäer, die in erster Linie im europäischen Interesse handeln. Das gilt für die Frage der Energie, das gilt für die Position der Kommission ist sehr klar. Und ich habe mit allen Kommissarinnen und Kommissaren oder Kandidatinnen und Kandidaten für die verschiedenen Portfolios sehr klar darüber gesprochen. Sie sind nicht mehr die Botschafter Ihres Landes. Das sind Sie vielleicht früher als Minister in den Ministerräten gewesen. Das sind jetzt andere. Wir haben eine Balance zwischen den verschiedenen Kammern. Hier sind Sie in allererster Linie Europäer und vertreten europäische Positionen. Und im Übrigen die Position, die wir entwickeln werden als Kommission, wird im Kolleg gemeinsam getroffen. Das Gleiche gilt im Prinzip auch für den Agrarsektor. Wie insgesamt das Ceiling sein wird, die Höhe sein wird, ist eine Frage von Verhandlungen. Und ich erwarte von allen, die mit dem Budget zu tun haben, dass wir gemeinsam europäische Interessen ausbalancieren. Klar müssen Kommissarinnen und Kommissare für ihre Portfolios streiten, das ist gar keine Frage, aber im europäischen Interesse.
The lady in the front row, please. Got the mic, and then we move up there to you.
Thank you. Just here. Martina Esteves for the New York Times. 2 questions. You've spoken a lot about European values today, in particular in the context of the accession of aspiring countries, neighbors, including Turkey. You made it clear that you don't believe Turkey shares Europe's values. And so I want to ask you, Are you going to continue with the policy of handing billions of euros to countries that don't share Europe's values to keep migrants away from the European Union? The previous Commission granted a €6 billion package to Turkey. Will you renew this? And what are the pitfalls of doing this, in giving countries this kind of money for this type of policy? And secondly, could you elaborate on the idea behind the DG for Defence? What will the competences be, and how does Europe's, European member states membership of NATO, etc.? Thank you.
Yeah. Perhaps I start with the second question first. NATO will always be collective defense, without any question. And NATO is the strongest military alliance in the world. The European Union will never be a military alliance. But the European Union has been told many, many times, the member states of the European Union are being told within NATO that interoperability, that is common procurement for their armed forces, is of utmost importance. That has been the message over decades, I'd say. So now the European Union is moving forward because it is sensible and it is the right thing to do, to have procurement in a common way. So the European Union is moving forward. It is the new DG Defence Industry and Space. What is the thought behind it? We do have the European Defence Fund. And it is a right idea to enable the European member states to do the research, the development, and the procurement for the future systems we will have together, knowing that this will improve enormously interoperability, which is actually of benefit for NATO. We have one single set of forces, so it's of benefit for NATO. But it's also of benefit for the industrial bases in the European Union, because we know that the publicly driven research and development of procurement has an enormous spillover effect in the private civil industrial sector. So there are research topics that would never have been developed if it weren't for the common procurement. I give you examples that you all know. The American DARPA was the one that nurtured the development of the Internet for the American armed forces. Same goes for GPS. We wouldn't have GPS today if it weren't for the armed forces, research and development. Today, nobody would think about it. So, therefore, it is of utmost importance for the economic and industrial basis of the European Union and the basic research on these huge topics to have a common approach, and the new Director General for Defence is working on that. Your other question, thanks God I have a pen, so I keep it in mind. The Turkey-EU agreement was an important and complex one. It said, first of all, actually, that we put a NATO vessel, a NATO mission, NATO activity in the agency to watch over the smuggling and trafficking, the organized crime at the Turkish border that was bringing over in these horrible rubber boats approximately 5,000 migrants per day in 2016-17. Those were the years. It was hugely organized crime. This stopped now. The numbers have gone down drastically. Then the second point is, for every irregular migrant that comes to the European side and that we have to bring back, we will take another migrant from, at that time, Syria, for example, to the European Union. And on top, the European Union is willing to invest 6 billion in the refugee camps, for example, for schooling of the children in the refugee camps. So now there is a debate. Has the whole sum been paid? There are different numbers out there. I think numbers have to be clarified because we are all accountable to that. But this was and is the basic idea of it.
Please, we stay here on that side. Yeah, we start in the second row and then we move up to you guys up there.
Oui, merci. C'est Thomas Miglierina de la télévision suisse. Est-ce que vous allez garder le dossier des relations Suisse-Union européenne, pas trop simple, pour vous, comme le président Juncker a fait, ou est-ce que vous allez le donner à un autre commissaire, peut-être M. Trocciani, et est-ce qu'on doit s'attendre à des changements importants? Ich habe natürlich die Frage auf Französisch gestellt. Sie können auch auf Deutsch antworten oder vielleicht beides, damit sind fast alle Leute in der Schweiz zufrieden. Danke.
Je ne sais pas si je suis capable de faire ça. Oui. Le dossier suisse est très important. Je n'ai pas encore décidé où ce qu'il va être, mais il est très important, comme j'ai dit. Je crois qu'il est les négociations qu'on a faites étaient très bonnes. C'est-à-dire, je veux bien travailler avec cet agreement qui avait été négocié avec la Suisse. Und ich mache jetzt weiter auf Deutsch, weil es einfacher ist. Wo das Dossier bleibt, ist noch nicht entschieden, aber es wird eine besondere Bedeutung haben. Und ich glaube, dass die Vertragsverhandlungen sehr gut gewesen sind zwischen der jetzigen Kommission und der Schweiz, so dass ich gerne darauf aufbauen werde.
Stay on that side, just 3 rows.
Yes, this is Joe Kerwin from Bloomberg Tech. In your campaign to win approval in the European Parliament, you made a number of commitments on the taxation front, and these concern corporate taxation, digital taxation, and also on the carbon border tax. You haven't mentioned any of that, how that would be broken down into the portfolio. So could you explain, will it be different? Will they fall under different portfolios, or will it be in the case of, say, Commissioner Moscovici, taxation is under his portfolio strictly? Thank you.
Please excuse, but the detailed outlining of all the topics of the European Green Deal, and you're talking about something which might occur, but is not at all in the discussion at the moment will be the matter of the working program that we will lay down till the end of the year. So at that point, we will show exactly how the different steps for the European Green Deal will be, and then the decisions will be taken at that time how to organize the European Green Deal. The supervision on that has the Executive Vice President Franz Timmermans.
Frau Schmidt-Roschmann, then the gentleman in front of you.
Thank you. Augustin Palokaj from Youth and Release, Croatia. I have a question on Madame Šuica, Vice President for Democracy and Demography. What is the idea of linking those two? We understand that demographic challenges, particularly in Croatia, but some people are saying that some member states have problems with democratic values as well. So will she be dealing also with the democracy in the EU member states, or it's something else behind this idea? And which DG will be under her responsibility, if any? Thanks.
The respectable clusters are laid out in the mission letters. We've shown a few as an example here on the screen. So the topic, she will be responsible for the huge topic from the Commission side, what the Conference on the Future of Europe is concerned. This is an enormous process. It's a vital process for our democracy, and she will be the one from the Commission side. We will do that in close cooperation with the Parliament and the Council. So it's not only a Commission's project, but it's of utmost importance to roll out this programme over the next 2.5 years and then to be able to collect the knowledge that we've won out of it. In my introductory remarks, I stressed that I think some of the points of anger and frustration and loss of faith in the democracy is not an issue of democracy, but it's frustration about being left behind, being cut off, not having access to public services you want to have, seeing people leaving the region, seeing your children leaving the region, which are all signs of demographic change. And this demographic change, this is my plea, is not a given. It's not something we just have to take as something we can't do anything about it. On the contrary, there is, and this would take too much time, there are regions, there are cities that showed successfully that you can stop the decline, you can make a turnaround, and you can improve on that topic again. And to bring this knowledge to the different regions, to map the European Union, to look for the best practices, is a fantastic task. It starts with the topic of reconciliation of work and family. It goes deep into mobility infrastructure. It goes on with perspectives and jobs you do have, but it also goes deep into the topic, what are we doing with an aging workforce? And there is a lot that can be done. So it's a vast topic, as you see, with my short outlines, and these are the two main stakes she has to deal with.
Frau Schmidt-Roschmann, and then we go up to the top.
Schmidt-Roschmann, Deutsche Presseagentur. Do you anticipate difficulty with the confirmation in the European Parliament and possibly even a delay of your start on November 1st?
I know that it is a very important process of the hearings in the European Parliament, and each commissioner, each vice president will have to convince without any question. So it's out of respect before the Parliament that I am not the one who's talking about the timelines. The Parliament will decide when to start the hearings, and the Parliament will decide when they've heard enough and the hearings stop.
Yeah, please, on the top. Yep.
Thank you very much. Emre Peker with the Wall Street Journal. I have two questions, if I may. The first one is about trade and U.S. relations. Just as you take office, the U.S. will be about to get its award in the WTO Airbus case, and they've been quite intent on leveling tariffs. And we also have the car tariffs that will come shortly after you're in office. What's your game plan for trying to convince President Trump and his administration not to go down the tariff route? Do you have any meetings planned? And do you see a positive agenda going forward? And secondly, some of the ideas that you put forth in your political guidelines with regards to the European Green Deal, such as the carbon tax and higher ambitions for emissions cuts by 2030, have already been discussed repeatedly at the EU level, brought up by France twice and partially by Spain with regards to the carbon border tax, and the 55% reduction was shut down by the member states at the Council, who agreed on a 40% reduction just 2 years ago. What do you think is different this time, and why would EU governments go along with your more ambitious targets? Thank you.
This is, I start with your last question first. This is a topic that is gaining an enormous amount of drive, and rightly so. And the Council agreed on the goal of climate neutrality. So if we want to reach climate neutrality in 2050, we have to have reliable, achievable steps before this date that have to be taken. We need a plan. We need a clear structure. we need to know, and this is what we're talking about with the European Green Deal, exactly how we want to move forward, what is doable, where we have to be more ambitious, where we have to push forward. But I'm convinced, if I may say so, that sooner or later, every region on this globe will have to join in the goal to have a climate-friendly behavior, climate-friendly economy, climate-friendly production lines. So sooner or later, the whole globe will join in. And then it is of utmost importance who has been the front runner, who has developed the technologies, who has been able to show what to do with green financing, who has been able to show that transition from CO2 emission to a different way of producing is doable, that it's a just transition. So all these factors are difficult. We will have a lot of problems on our way forward, but it's the right way to go. And I'm determined to have the European Union as being a role model and a front runner. We'll learn on our way going ahead. We will certainly have periods that will be more difficult than easy, but the direction is absolutely the right one. What the United States and the tariffs and WTO is concerned in general, I think we should always keep in mind that if we start a tit-for-tat behavior where tariffs are concerned, others will have the benefit of it. Neither the United States nor the European Union. And therefore, it is always smart to sit down, to talk about the topics, to think what is in our common interest, in our both common interest, and then to move forward. Certainly I will travel the moment I'm in office, but plans have not been detailed out now.
You might get some water. We've got some more minutes.
It's a good idea.
It's a good idea. There, the woman in red, you've got already the mic in your hand. This qualifies you for the next question.
I'm sorry, Marina Maximovic.
Excuse me, just a...
Maria Psara, Greece, a question on the Greek portfolio. It's protecting our European way of life, but you mentioned as well as migration. So protection from what? And do you connect the protection of the European way of life with migration? Thank you.
You see that guideline, that headline in my political guidelines. And there's a whole chapter below it. So every title is from the political guidelines. And our European way of life is holding up our values and the beauty of the dignity of every single human being is one of the most precious values. The rule of law, in other words, everybody has the same rights, is one of our founding principles. So, and to find the balance within this difficult topic, never to forget our founding values and rules, is the overarching topic on a very precise work Margaritis Skinas and the commissioners of the cluster will have to do. I elaborated a lot on it already. I talked a lot about a sustainable concept already, but of course there is way more into it.
No, geographical balance means that we've got to just, you go there.
Yes, Nikolai Nielsen, EU Observer. Actually, I'm over here. I was going to ask that question, but it's been asked on migration again, so I'm going to follow up on something a little bit else on that portfolio. Does the Commission intend to withdraw the reforms on the Dublin regulation? Are you going to stick to it, given all the problems that you've had in trying to reform it? Or are you going to just pull it completely and start over again? Thank you.
We will have to reform Dublin without any question. So, and this is a matter of solidarity. It cannot be, by definition, depending on your geographical position. This cannot be the source of having to carry the most responsibility, for example, in the topic of